In this tutorial, you are going to learn about Java programming RMI, that is remote method invocation. RMI is an API. It is used to distribute the application in Java. Suppose if you have a method in one system, you need not have the method in all other systems wherever you need. Instead of that, you can have the method in one system and you can share this method in other systems wherever it is necessary. So we are just having the method in a remote place and we are accessing it in other systems. So this is possible using Java by using the mechanism called RMI, that is remote method invocation. So this communication between different applications in two different systems use mainly two objects, that is stub and skeleton. So here these two words are very important, stub and skeleton. Here stub will always be present in the client machine and skeleton will always be present in the server machine. So the remote method is an object whose method can be invoked from another JVM which is present in a remote place. So what is a stub? So it is an object that acts as a gateway for the client side. Always stub stays in the client side for remote method invocation. It initiates the connection, it writes. So whenever we are just going to write an object in to communicate with the other system, we have to convert the information, that is the request. That conversion of our request to the server is said as marshalling. So we have to do the marshalling in the stub side, and the stub is going to wait for the result and it unmarshals the return value which is sent by the server, and finally it returns the value to the caller, so actually to the client. So if you take skeleton, it is an object that acts as a gateway for the server side. So all the incoming requests from the client will be routed through this skeleton. So it reads the parameter, it invokes the method on the server, actual method what the client has requested, it writes and transmits the result to the caller. So in the client side, the stub will take all the value and it just pushes it to the client. So this is actually the pictorial representation. So we have the stub in the client side, we have the skeleton in the server side, and you can have it in a public network or a private internet through which we can do the communication. So for this RMI, this is mainly, we say it is a distributed application. So the method will be present in a remote location, and the client will be, we can present in anywhere in the world. So we have to load the classes needed for these objects, that is stub and skeleton, and that makes the distributed application. So we are just going to see an example how this RMI works in Java. So it takes 6 steps for us to complete the process. The first one is creating the remote interface. Then we have to create an implementation for this interface. Then we have to compile the implementation so that it generates the stubs and skeletons. Then we have to start the RMI registry. So we have to create the remote application, that is server application, and then we have to create and create the client application. So these are the 6 steps. So for example, we'll take a simple method called addition of two numbers. So this is a simple method which is going to be present in the server, and the client is going to make a request. So first of all, the first step is to create a remote interface. this remote interface will be created in the client side. So we have to create the interface name is adder, and the method present is add. So it will not have any definition in the client part. So next we have to create the implementation part. So this you have to create in the server. For this we have to import java.rmi, rmi.server. These two packages we have to import, and then we have to write the definition for the implementation part for the method add. So here we have given the implementation method that is add integer x comma integer y, which returns x plus y. And also do remember that you have to create a constructor for this remote object. So for the RMI we always need a server side object. So we need to have a constructor there which throws the remote exception whenever there is a problem in creation of the object. So two steps we have completed. So we have created the interface, we have created the implementation part, and then we have to compile that. So for compiling we will be using RMI compiler. So we have to give the name of the implementation name we have to give, that is adder remote. Adder remote we have to give. So once you give this, a stub and skeleton objects would be created. So we'll be having adder remote stub, adder remote skeleton, adder remote dot class file. So three class files will be generated once you do this compilation. And then we have to start the RMI registry. So for starting the RMI registry, we will use the command RMI registry. So we will just give a port number. So next we have to create the server application. So for creating the server application, just write a main method. Inside the main method, you just create an object. You create an object and store it in the interface. So here you can see adder remote is an object, and this object is stored in a parent interface, that is adder. So we have created a stub object there. Now just bind it with a particular URL. So in this URL only the stub would be generated and it is stored there. So once it is stored there, any client can come and access this. So actually this is stored in the registry. So once it is registered, that is rebind is going to bind the object in a registry so that anyone can come and access it. So this is very important point, that is URL and the name of the object. You are just going to register that. You have to write in the server side. Then we have to write the client application. So in the client application, we are just using a method called lookup method. So we are just going to look in the URL for the name of the object SONOOO. So that is the object name which we have created previously. In the previous slide we can see. So that object is located and it comes as an object. So it comes as a general object. So we need to typecast it to our interface name, that is adder. So do the typecasting there. So we get an object for this adder. So we got the object. So it is enough if you call the method. So the object name is stub and the method name is add. So stub.add of the two parameters you need to give. If you want to give the direct parameters, you can give. Otherwise you can get an input and you can pass those two values as a parameter. Once you complete this, you have to compile the server separately and we have to compile the client separately. So first of all, we have compiled already RMIC where it generates the substance skeleton. We have started the RMI registry, and after that we are just compiling the server and we are just compiling the client, and after that everything is ready. So we have created only 4 files: interface, implementation, server file, client file. After compilation, you could see for interface class file, implementation class file, you have stub, you have skeleton, you have server, you have client. So 6 more class files would be generated for this. So once it is done, then we have to run the server first by using Java server name, and you just create another window and just another prompt and just run Java client. So Java client is going to call the method add method, and it just displays the result of what we have given the input as 34 plus 4 as 38. So the important thing is you have to run the application, that is Java server, Java client. If you do that, then everything is finished, and you get the result. So this brings the end of this RMI, where we have learned about what is client, server, steps and skeleton for doing a remote method invocation. And thank you.